You're listening to Winnipeg's Classic 107. My name is Simon Rusnak. The Little Opera Company begins the new year with a little show, Refuge, an afternoon of art songs. Featuring soprano Lara Ciekiewicz and pianist Michael Oike, the pair will present works by Britten, Duparc, Puccini, Strauss, and more. Both Lara and Michael have joined me in studio this morning. Welcome. Good to see you.
Hello. Great to be here. Thanks for having us.
Good morning, Winnipeg.
Morning.
Well, a very good morning indeed. Lara, we last had you on actually ahead of a different little opera show.
Yes.
Jake Hagee's 3 Decembers, which took place finally last season. 3 times delayed.
Third time's a charm.
Not much of a wait between LOC shows for you this time round, is there?
No, it's great.
Yeah,
Love it.
It's got to feel good, right?
It
to really
does.
get into the swing of things.
Yeah, I'm super grateful to Spencer and Little Opera Company, and also to Michael for this is truly Michael's idea and project, and the genesis lies with him. So to be invited to come do a recital, these gorgeous songs, and to be able to pick some of my favorites and see what favorites Michael has, and where we met and where we differed, and how we came together to put this program together for. It's great to be working on things that you love so much in the middle of January.
Yeah. It definitely warms the heart,
it does,
right? It warms the
does.
heart. This typically cold time of year, but it's been a rather pleasant start to 2023.
True.
Just before we get to the genesis of this program and how you two came together, I'm curious, can you talk just broadly about the different way that the Winnipeg audience is going to be able to see you? Because we're so used to seeing you on the big stage, right? Performing with full companies and stagings and all that.
Right.
This recital, a different opportunity, right, for the audience to hear you perform.
Absolutely. I love in recital setting that you get to have more direct contact with the audience. Something that Michael and I have been talking about in terms of the program and how we want things to sort of roll out during the program, is really being able to talk to the audience and build that relationship not only through the music and the stories that we're telling, but also through how we both relate to this music and to this program itself and to the community. I think that's really wonderful for the audience to get to see both of our personalities, not just through the music, but actually us, my geeky, dorky, laughing personality that loves singing these stories that really touch my heart and hopefully touch people's hearts in the audience. And then also, this performer who plays these characters, and that's all me, but you get to see a little more of the me side in recital, which is a lot of fun. Yeah,
not the character side, and there's that intimacy that always comes with a recital, right?
Absolutely. You can choose to look people in the eye if they want to receive that or not, or if you are in the moment where you feel like you can give that as a performer. It's really, really wonderful and special.
Just the two of you up on the stage, and so let's go to Michael now. This sounds like it is really your baby, Michael, just based on how Lara teed that one up. Can you tell us about how the two of you came together to perform?
Well, I first met Lara when Spencer asked me to play for some of the arias in the All Those Arias comedy show he had, and so I was tasked with this beautiful Russian aria that Lara was going to sing. And so my first love is the piano vocal repertoire. I did a lot of it in Toronto when I was at school. We were tasked with a class where you had to, one class work with singers and another work with instrumentalists, because the professor in charge at the time said not everyone's going to be a solo pianist. So I had the good fortune of playing for students in Mary Morrison's class, Pat Kern's class, Russell Brown is a Pat Kern protege. So, and I learned all the rep, and then I was fortunate to work with the two leading pianists of the day, Rudolf Janssen and Martin Isep. So I learned all the rep. So I did it for a while, and then I switched over to, aside from the teaching, playing with instrumentalists. And so I finally decided after the pandemic, hey, I pulled out my Strauss and Duparc book, which we're playing. Yeah. And, pianist heaven, soprano heaven. Yeah. And I thought, hey, I'm going to call Spencer, because I lost touch with all the singers. And he said, well, okay, I'll ask around. And he said he would try Lara. And so we got together and I said, oh, this is great. So that's how it came to be.
Yeah, it feels like almost like a return to your roots in a way, right?
Absolutely.
After you get away from it. I know you were a long-time instructor at the Manitoba Conservatory of Music and the Arts. I was curious, in terms of how you two came together, because I know you're both also actively involved in adjudication, and I thought it might have been on the festival circuit. But how cool that it was Little Opera Company that actually brought you together, and now you get to perform for Little Opera Company in this show. So in terms of narrowing down the repertoire, because there's so much that's available, can we talk a little bit more about that? There are some heavy hitters on the program, and maybe we can start there. I kind of teed them up, Britten and Duparc and Puccini and Strauss. English, French, Italian, German. Lara, you're giving us a masterclass here.
All my students are listening going, oh, what did she tell us in lessons? And does she actually do it?
That's right.
Teaching keeps you very honest as a performer. I think I'm such a geek and a nerd. I started a Google spreadsheet, and I said, let's just throw, this is what my heart is feeling in this moment, pieces that we want on here. And so Duparc matched for sure for both of us. Strauss matched. Interestingly, we're doing 3 Strauss pieces, are pieces that I've known a long time, but I've never learned. So they're all new to me. So that's been a really great journey. And they were pieces that were on Michael's list. And I'm like, yes, this is the kick in the pants I need to finally be like, you are going to learn some new Strauss this year, which has been a real delight to delve into these stories on a personal level for me. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we were doing lots of this is what feels like my favorite right now. And I know when I was putting things on the list, I love everything on the program. I think it came together in a really wonderful way. But there were a couple of pieces where I was super love in the column, right? I was going please pick this, please pick this.
Do you want to drop a title for us? What's a super love in the column?
The final piece of the show is called Migratory V. It's by by Gettle.
Yeah.
And it's one of those pieces that I found when I was actually looking for a rep for one of my students, and it just sort of hit me right in the heart bone. And it's just a really beautiful, simple text about coming together as community, and it felt like such a beautiful sentiment for where we are right now, 3 years into a pandemic, and how we're coming out of that. So that was one of them for sure.
I'm glad you bring up the Gettle, as in Adam Gettle, as in Light in the Piazza, and grandson of Rogers. Of Rogers and
which
Hammerstein
I only figured out 2 months ago because I've lived under a rock apparently.
I mean, it's one of those you kind of piece together and go, you come from good stock. This is wild. There's also some other contemporaries on the program, including Emery, as in Matthew Emery. Is that right? Canadian composer. Yes. I know him for his choral writing.
Yes.
What's his vocal writing like, Michael? Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
I didn't know them from A Hole in the Ground. I was also
so new discovery for you too.
But as soon as I played them, Lara told me about how good they were. Just the piano parts alone. It's beautiful music. So if you're coming, please come. Bring your box of Kleenex. They are to die for. They are to die for.
Really?
They are beautiful pieces. The poetry is beautiful. The piano writing is beautiful. It's modern music. It's romantic music. They're all, and they're not long pieces. They're short, concise, perfect. I think they're perfect pieces, and I really like them. I just love them. So I can't wait to perform these.
Lara, did you have something to add to the Emery?
I find that they're so wonderfully mature. They're very simple and economical in terms of the writing style, but everything in terms of expressing the text is in the music, both in the vocal line. The line is written extremely well for the voice. It's very lyric and comfortable and beautiful to sing. But also in the piano part, how the piano and the voice interact, and also how the piano and the voice interact with the text. It's really, really wonderful because Matthew Emery, Dr. Emery is, I'd have to go Wikipedia, but he's maybe in his early 30s now.
Yeah.
And I think these are
young composer.
2011 these were written. So these even into 20s. They're just beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's going to be a wonderfully crafted program, and this is a program titled Refuge. And I'm wondering if we can talk a little bit more about that, just to close out this conversation. Michael is pointing towards Lara here, for those of you who can't see.
True.
So, I mean, can you talk more about that? I mean, of
Absolutely.
course, coming through the pandemic, as we start to find our feet again, that idea of finding safety and shelter and how that's reflected in the music?
Absolutely. I mean, I think in the simplest terms, it relates to how much we love all of the pieces that we've chosen. And so, speaking personally in that regard, it does feel like you come to this music looking for some comfort and some respite from, whatever hard things are happening during the day, the month, the year, in the moment. But also back to Emery, to relate it back to that, the first song is called For Broken and Tired Am I. And it's actually not the original title of the poem by Archibald Lampman. The original title of the poem is Refuge. And I always found that was really beautiful for the text of that song, and that Emery chose to title it differently, but then how that sort of came together in terms of the scope of this program. And I was like, yes, I think that's a good possibility. And as we were talking through other titles, we're like, yes, this speaks to how we put this together and where we sort of feel we're at and what we want to offer, on this afternoon to everybody so they can take what they need.
Take what you need, leave your worries at the door, and come and find refuge in the music, an afternoon of art song that's coming up not this Sunday, even though I would love it to be this Sunday. I just can't wait for this show. It'll be next Sunday, January 22nd, 3 p.m. at St. Andrews River Heights United Church. And we've got one number queued up here, some Strauss, sung by, I'm not going to make you sing Strauss this early in the morning.
Bless you.
Yeah. But we're going to hear Renee Fleming performing. Michael, did I ever hear this? You've seen her perform?
3 times.
3 times?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk more about that? I mean, you were talking about your love of art song, vocal art song, and working as an accompanist that way.
Yeah.
I imagine she one of those individuals who features prominently in that.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to hear a lot of the biggies. I got to hear Ellie Ameling on her Swan Song tour singing Schubert.
Yeah.
She did 5 encores, and we were so lucky because I had spent summer doing master classes with Rudolf Janssen. He bought us tickets, and he asked us to come and party with him after. But that was truly stunning. A lady at her age singing Schubert, like she knows it like the back of her hand.
Yeah.
I heard Jessie Norman.
Oh, wow.
Which was great in Minneapolis, and she sang all the big hits.
Yeah.
Schubert, Earl King. And there was a song cycle written for her based on spirituals. It's fantastic. I've been trying to hunt down the music. Can never. I don't know where it is. Maybe she went to it with her grave, bless her soul, on Sophie von Otter. So any chance I got to hear a biggie, I would go and hear them. But it's my favorite. My mom was a singer, and it was always her intention for me to learn the piano to play for her. And she unfortunately got sick at the point where I could read the music. But so it always sits with me. And coincidentally, when she was at home resting, I started to learn a Schubert piano piece. So it's kind of, Schubert, the greatest, I think the greatest songwriter around. So, no, I just love it. The piano parts are beautiful. It's not having to learn a long piano sonata of 66 pages. And I don't think I've come across a bad art song yet.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. But now, so I'm just so grateful that Lara agreed to do Park and Strauss.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me?
I did a concert with Henrietta Schellenberg.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Who's one of my teachers.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, this is Winnipeg, right?
Yes,
I mean, you get your 2 degrees of
Hi,
separation.
Abbotsford, Henrietta and Rudy.
Yeah.
Rudy.
Exactly.
And so, and I've always been, I said to a few others, I said, find me someone who can do Park and Strauss, right? And now I found it after 20 years of searching. So I'm in heaven.
No pressure.
Yeah. What a wonderful match. Thank you both for coming in this morning. We're going to hear a little bit of Renee Fleming performing Ciekiewicz, which I can never pronounce correctly. Am I doing all right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's a beautiful Strauss song, Renee Fleming with the Houston Symphony.